obviously a lot of this happened here, but this supply, this demand here
Yeah, I'm
took
sorry.
out the previous all-time highs. So this is your all-time highs,
Thank you, Travis.
and then this demand here, I would circle it somewhere around here.
Okay, hang out, okay?
This demand took out the previous supply that we had, and then we kind of crashed through it, right? And naturally, you would expect that you get a bounce here. And for a moment, you did, but then the market happened, right? The market started dumping, and then along with this stock, it started going down as well. Naturally, you would get a bounce here because this demand acted as a strong, really strong, and took out the previous supply here. So now you need to find the next demand. If you look to the left here to the chart, right, you will notice that this right here, this whole thing right here is one big demand. Is it? Look at this price action here. So now this is actually a pretty good range to start buying some calls here because this demand took out this one. They just wanted it lower. This is not a bad price action here to start buying this to go higher. And this is Salesforce. Does this make sense what I'm trying to explain to everyone?
You would wait for a retest though?
Oh yeah, I would wait. I mean, here you had a couple of retests. I mean, I'm on a weekly chart, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at it, every time it came back to this area, look what happened. Did you get a bounce every single time? Do you see that?
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, you came here. I mean, and how do you find, where do you look for a bounce? I mean, it's fairly simple. Just find, let's say this is where the consolidation happens from these lows. So if I was to play this, from here to here, this is where, for me, consolidation started. So what I would do is I would literally go from here to here, and I would play this POC on it every time it came back for a retest. I would grab calls here, and look how that would have worked.
Yeah, every time you get a candle close above that POC.
Oh, it's just going to explode every time, and it creates an imbalance. And you see that they're accumulating here. And if I grab if I grab it from here, it's going to be a totally different story though. The value area highs, I mean, this shifts down. So now maybe they're making higher lows, but we're definitely not making higher highs. So a lot of volume is still, let me delete this guy now so you guys are not confused. A lot of volume is still concentrated where? Let me remove this. So if I start from here to here, a lot of volume is still off the POC. It's just the value area high is changing. So if they break this value area high, that's great. We want it to break because I want to buy right here and maybe drive it back up. There's a buyer here that's accumulating the stock. This is a pure accumulation play. And we know that because if you look to the left, this is where they accumulated before. They just now saw the potential of this stock. And then if you look at the fundamentals of them, you would know if this is growing or, what's going on with this stock. So if you do a bigger scale, buying and selling, let's go from the bottom here to the top. Look where we are now. And where's the second biggest shelf being created now? Obviously, so the way stock market works, and hopefully you guys know this from me by now, is there's early investors, right? There's people to get the first-hand tip on a stock, whether it's Amazon, whether it's CRM, any of those stocks, right? I mean, even UPST, when they had crazy run from 20 to 390 or whatever that level was, somebody got the hand and a tip that this is going to run. And these are usually conversations that Wall Street bankers have at a dinner table in New York. It's like, hey, we're buying this heavily, it's going to run like crazy, and then we're going to sell it to the retail at the top. And then they patiently wait. So they sold it here, they accumulated here. Just remember the warehouse example. They accumulated here. Now there's new buyers that said, man, this company has a lot of potential, and they're not the early investor, but they're getting a better tip than the retail is right now. And look, this is potentially going to become the future POC here. Just remember this. If this POC is going to be, what are we in? By November, this is going to become the POC. This is going to overcome this level if they believe in this stock. And then It's simple. Here's another supply. So let's say you miss this, you're like, no, I want to test this concept out. Well, if this demand takes out this supply, they're probably going to start selling somewhere around here, right? So if their average is around 150, 250, they will sell. What do you expect them to do again? What would you expect these guys to do once they reach up to here? If their average was, let's say, 150, and it comes to 240, and they're putting in hundreds of $1 million, what do you expect to happen at this supply here?
They'll trim off, if anything.
Yeah, they would trim off. I mean, they would be stupid not to. So if they trim here, and this is how this usually works in the demand. So, we obviously ran and we dump, and now you accumulate here, right? This is what they're doing here. This is just pure garbage price action. If they go up to here and they reject up to here, this is a perfect buying opportunity right here. Because this demand, if it takes out this supply right here, that's pretty heavy. If it takes it out even for a little bit, it's telling you there's buyers. They're going to bring it back down, and these buyers are going to become aggressive. Because now, what you did to this supply, what is it that you did to this warehouse here that sold? If you bought a bunch here, and somebody sold off here, but you're not able to make lower lows, so the supply is not breaking the demand level, which means the supply is weaker than the demand. What does this tell you about this demand in the future?
It's going to be strong.
It's going to be very strong because now this seller here probably sold off others. And if there's a scarcity of a product, let's say this stock, right? There's not unlimited shares of shares. If there's no more selling here, liquidity, and everybody wants a piece of this cake right now, well, use AMC as an example, right? If you don't have the shares, and I can put any price I want for this. And the same with the products, right? Tesla created artificial demand for its cars. I mean, anyone that has had a Tesla will tell you that it's a garbage car. I mean, from quality perspective. But you're not buying a car, you're buying a brand. You're buying the FOMO of people saying, I have a Tesla, they look rich. That's the concept here. Does that make sense, this example? DM, does this make sense?
Sorry, sir. Can I check it out? Why the supply zone is not at the 220 to 230, and instead it is actually 242.44 that area.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. Why is the supply not what?
I'm just seeing the chart right now. In between 210 to 230, the zone that you have highlighted. Is that also the supply zone?
This right here?
Yes. This is the box, the shelf.
Yeah, this is definitely supply.
Oh, it's also the supply. So
this is a supply, and this is a supply above. Every one of these shelves, which is a high volume node on the volume profile, means that there was volume accumulated or sold off at these levels. So if you're below the price, supply is above. If you're, let's say, if the shelf is below, that means it's a demand. That means it's going to gravitate towards where the next volume is. So for instance, if this is the sell-off here that I'm trying to see, so this has potential to go where? I just gave you, a sell-off volume. And the sell-off volume is fairly, structure-wise, it's not very strong on selling. Where can you expect a sell-off here? Jelly, where can you expect a sell-off? I grabbed it from here to see where the sellers are. Where are the sellers?
Could it be the POC that?
That's correct. It's the POC. This is the highest volume. So if I go here, right, and you see where the value area, high and low. The green line is value area high. The blue is value area low. So the highest volume, 68% of the volume happened on the bottom here. Okay. Now, if you look at this, If you just grab around the volume, the POC, this is where a majority of the volume happen. I would say, if you were to grab around the shelf, like a little bit higher right here and here, and if you were to do some math and calculation, I would say off that 68%, I would say 70% of the volume happened right here. So this becomes your supply, which is also a psych level, right? 200, 210 for trapping people, this is perfect. Because if you go on 200, so there's a shelf right there, but they can run this up here. But if we grab this at 160s and you play 200 calls for a couple of weeks out, and you can figure out how long it takes. So, from last time to here, from here to 200, it took 105 days last time. So it took 3 months. So you will need to play options that are 3 months or further out every time it breaks. So here, if you look at it, I took it on the break of this demand, and then it reached 210 in 105 days, so 3 months. Does that make sense now how you can think about options and timing? Do you guys follow?
Yes. And thank you. Noted.
Yeah. DM, does this make sense? Because I'll let you cover one example if it makes sense. Okay. And this happens, the best part about this is this happens on every single time frame. Every single time frame has this. And if you look at, for instance, SPY, okay, well, I already did it here. I'm just going to look at, let's say, 15-minute chart on SPY, and I'll just add session breaks so that way we can see the days, right? We should have probably about 10 days here. Let's just shorten it here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days here. This is going to be like an engagement exercise. Where's the first demand here? This is where you guys talk. I listen to you guys.
Say around 422.
Just give me the dates. You have the dates and the times. Yep. So which area do we circle, DM? Give me the guys. You have the dates and the time. I did 15 minutes. Make it easy.
Say the 11th around 12 o'clock, all the way through.
Yep, exactly. So you have this demand. This whole day was a confluence area. I mean, it was a consolidation area. I mean, look at the balance here. Nothing. Pretty tight. So if you look at it, this becomes your demand. Okay. Well, now I'm just looking at the days that we have here. I'm not looking to the left. I'm pretending that there's no other data than here. Well, I also know that there was a supply here that we sold off of, right? You see how we created an imbalance right here? We're looking for big candles followed through on the imbalance. So what I would do is I would say, okay, well, if this is the area, this becomes kind of like my supply right here. Okay. If this is my supply and this demand took out the supply previously, we came back for the retest of this, but we failed to do what? We failed out to take out this supply here with this demand here. So what does this tell you about this demand?
It's weaker.
It's weaker. And what happened to this demand?
As soon as we lost it, we broke down.
Since we lost this demand, we broke down. And what did we do when we broke down below the demand? What do I always tell you to do?
Wait for the retest to short.
And what happened here exactly is we came back. We said, hey, is there more buyers here? And they said, no, there's more sellers. And they sold it off. So now, on tomorrow when we open, what can you expect to happen here on the... You will come here and you will get a big buy here. I promise you, unless we open below it, it changes the game. But you expect buyers to be here. And tomorrow, we just watch this level. I mean, we're $2 away from it. If they gap it down below it, great. I hope they don't. And we get a bounce here. And this is a really high probable trade because this demand was fairly big here. Okay, so how would we measure this in terms of volume profile? Where would you grab the fixed volume profile from here to here to see where the buyers are? Jelly, where do you grab the volume profile here?
I think it's on the 10.
Okay.
On the 10, the lowest week, the all the way to the highest level.
Right.
I think. Yeah, it's the highest level. Yeah, this is the level. Yes.
Okay, and what is it telling you now? We just did that. What is this telling you?
Yeah, that's the POC whereby the rate line, that is the bounce that we are talking about.
Okay, so does everybody understand how important this is right now? Let me just kind of make this line. Okay, so the red line right here is the highest volume where the price accumulated, correct?
Yes.
So we went all the way up here. We had a supply. I'm just looking focused on this part of the data, nothing else. I don't care about anything else. Well, it's telling me the imbalance happened from here. Do I need to bring the PowerPoint? Do you guys remember the PowerPoint? What is this setup called, guys? Anyone? I'm not going to answer this. You guys got it. What is this setup called in the volume accumulation that we talked about? Come on, somebody knows. Accumulation setup, guys. It's simple. It's a volume accumulation setup with the higher lows. So here we grabbed the run, and this is where we accumulated the most volume and where we exploded from. So let me bring up the volume. You guys need to revisit that PowerPoint. Is this the same thing that I just kind of, let's see, where's the slideshow? Come on. Stop it. It's the same concept. You accumulate it here. Once you come back to this price, you're going to go higher. It's the same here. Just the opposite. This is bear setup. You accumulate it here. Once you come back here, you short. Now you flip this picture and you get the bullish side. Okay? Does everybody understand? This concept alone, if you wait and play this concept, you're going to be profitable. So tomorrow, what do you guys think the retail does right here? Tomorrow, below this line right here. What do you think the retail is going to do?
Buy.
No, below this line that I just put. You think they're going to buy right here?
Short it and hold it.
Short it.
Yeah, they're going to short it and hold it. Right?
Especially
And what?
after Friday.
Exactly. So what they might experience tomorrow is this. It's simple. They come in, we dip below. How many traders use the psych level as, 420 breaks, you're going 415. How many of you guys think use this level?
A lot.
So let's say that this level breaks, the 420 that they're here, and they go here and it breaks. And then literally you're coming on a really nice level for a buying time. And this is where they lose money because you get this. And this is potentially what can happen tomorrow. Because these supplies, this sum was taken out by this demand. And this demand went all the way up to here. So tomorrow, this is exactly what can happen tomorrow. Tomorrow or this week at some point, this is one scenario that can happen. If this demand does not hold and we go dip below it, you don't short this demand here. Where do you short it?
Retest.
Yeah, let it go to the value area, high, low, and then here is where we short. This would be our level for shorting tomorrow. This is your level for buying. And if you dip below it and come back, that's where you short. How otherwise would you know that you're not going to get faked out? If this dips below and then it comes back, then you wait for a retest again and go long. Look what happened here. I mean, same thing happens, guys, over and over. Look, we rejected the POC. Did we reject it perfectly? Came back, this. Some people buy this right here, but look what you would have gotten if you did what I'm telling you to do most of the time is retest. If you got it right here on the retest, you're still good. You know, you can use your volume profile as shelves, and let's say you put it right here as a stop loss. And look at this. You got it right here. You know that there's going to be some sellers at this because now they gave you where they were last time. And look, pretty perfect. You take some here, and then you have a little bit of runners. And look, they continue running for you. The problem is a lot of people get in here, and then they get these little candles up here. They get washed out, and then boom, you get the major run now. Because what retail does is they play as retail. They go on their emotions, and they will look to, you know, short here. But this guy that shorted here, as you guys know, you know, that was heavy short here. What do you think he's going to be doing right here? All the way from here to here. What do you think he's going to do at this level? Well, he has to cover his shares because he knows there's a lot of buyers at the 420 level, so he's going to become a buyer too. He's going to buy the shares back, and it's going to help drive this process higher. And that's your supply and demand, what I talked about. You want the demand to take out the previous supply. So this was our previous supply on this 5-day concept or whatever days we had. You see that this is the demand that has the most value here. So this is the level where we watch tomorrow. If we break below it, then we look to short. If we break below it, then we go up. You know, you have multiple scenarios. You have this scenario as one. This scenario is two. What's the third scenario? Dumpster, what do you think is the third? Could there be a true bear trap? How would the bear trap look? Would it be something like this? You break the level, you get these guys excited about 415, and then you go up, you retest this long level, and this long level might adjust depending on the volume. And then you come back to the same demand level and you run from there higher. Because remember, this demand is strong, and you have to believe it because you're looking at it. You don't doubt yourself on what you're seeing. And how do you play the profits? Do you wait till 432 to take profits, or what do you do?
No, you trim as you go up.
Yeah, you trim. It doesn't mean you're going to get this move tomorrow. The way it looks is, let's say we get a bounce here tomorrow. Well, you know, a first trim should be around 422. So you got $3. You trim here, let it consolidate here. And if you have runners, then you trim. You trim right here somewhere. Then you let it consolidate. You have a runner. You let it go. You trim some more. And then here, you probably take a little bit more off and you leave, let's say, a single runner. If it goes up like this, and then it goes up to your final target, and you should have one runner for the final run. And you move the trailing stop behind the shelves. Meaning, if I have a runner, right, and let's say I sold in 6 out of 10 right here, 6 out of 10, then I sell the 3 here, and now I have a runner. Well, I just put my trailing stop right below this shelf, and if they really want to, you know, dump it from this level and the supply is growing bigger, like let's say news or whatever it might be, that's okay. This trade's still profitable. It won't be as profitable potentially as some of these, because then you have the IV playing in your favor or against it, but it'll be a very profitable trade. But in case this continues going up, this one runner probably make up the profits of the previous 5 that you sold, or maybe even more. And that's how you look at it. And this literally, you know, you can apply it to any stock and anything that you're watching. So here's Tesla 15 minutes. Where's the demand here?
I can't see the numbers, but right there on the bottom where it's
Yeah,
got the
845.
Yep. I mean, you have a nice low demand right here, I would say, this whole
yeah,
area, right?
yeah,
I would
right
say
there.
this is a fairly nice demand here. So what happened last time in this area? Look, just look at the price action. We made lower highs and lower lows, and then happened kind of like the break of structure happened right here. This is your break of structure on the bottom. So now you're making higher highs here compared to this. You're breaking the structure. Here you're breaking from this point of view. You broke the change of character here. You went really bullish up to here, and then you had an explosion, right? You see the candles, you had a really burst, right? And look what happened with volume here in this area. It really popped, and now the volume is calming down. So where do we expect the buyers to be?
Right where you drew that black line.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
previous
I was just,
previous
I don't
move
know
line
yet.
profile.
You guys are assuming it's here, but the buyers are right here.
Mm.
The imbalance happened here, guys. And that's what I was showing you. Do you guys recall this 881 level? Did I mention this level at all before, ever? Did I mention this Macquarie last week? I think you remember this level.
Yes.
Yeah, 881 was a key level. I told you guys below 894, we had 881. We said about $14 drop was free money on Tesla. And same here, even though the demand might look here, like you guys see here, well, maybe there was a demand here, but I'm only looking at subset of data. I'm looking, from the 9th to whatever, 22nd. I'm sure if I go a little bit to the left, and if I was to grab that there will be key pieces of data here. But when you look at the data that I was focused on, for me, the POC is right here, and this was a great buy. So when I said you want to make sure if you short Tesla, 894 it was, all the way to 881 that you want to get out because you're going to get a bounce. If you don't think you can make a day's worth of money from 881 on 890 Tesla, then your trading mindset is wrong. This is what you're living for and trading for. This right here, this bounce, you're anticipating this bounce here. You will never catch this run here on options. If you think you will catch this whole run from 854 to 946, you won't be profitable. I'll tell you right now. And you can prove me wrong if you want, but you will not be profitable. This is called beginner's luck. If you just got into options and you bought one Tesla contract for 5,000, you're like, holy crap, I just made $30,000 and this is easy. Welcome, because you're going to lose it all within a couple of months.
Yeah.
So now, I just want to show you the difference, right? So we looked at only a piece of data here, and 881 for the last couple of days. So if you grab August 9th, right? I mean, let's say even if you grab 8 just to get a full week. So if you grab 2 weeks worth of data, it would tell you like, oh, okay, well, this is the POC for this data right here that I'm playing. Could have played this bounce right here and probably made a couple of $100. Remember, a couple of $100 times 5 is a lot of thousands. We are only collecting crumbs. Like, you do not care about these full runs. You want to play these lower crumbs and add up the crumbs. And if you guys look, in your profits and losses where we post them, we don't post them to show off. I post it to see who's gradually growing and who's not. And when Mr. Bean came in here, he almost lost his full account. And you can ask him. And what do you guys notice about Mr. Bean's profit taking?
It's got a lot better.
Small
Say
amounts.
what?
Small amounts compiling.
And how much does he make a week? Did you guys check lately?
No.
At least 1,000.
I just want to bring this up. Look at this. Some days he makes $24 and he calls it a day. Some days he makes the 340. Some are 21. But for a week he made 500. Then the next week he made 2,500. His mindset got fixed. He's accepting these small wins, but he's also restricting his losses. And I know when he gets a big loss, what he does, how he reacts to it now. He comes back conservative, and pay attention to his profits. They are never huge after a loss. Go back into his previous. He had 2 weeks where he had huge wins after a loss. And that on some of them he gambled. So that tells you, what does that tell you in terms of a mindset? He's not revenge trading. He's sticking to his rules. And if you scroll up even more, you'll see that he does it pretty well. I think this is from the no, this is still the same. There's one that tells you in July a little bit better picture for him. Let me see. I think the next one will tell us. And if you guys think I just do ask you guys to post it so I can post it somewhere, no, look at this. Here's your July here. Again, he's taking small profits, guys, and not really revenge trading. He's sticking to the rules, and it's making sense. Zach, the same thing he's doing right here. He had big losses here, then he recovered some of it. Probably took some, gamble or swings, depending on the details. But the guys that are consistently green, they appreciate the money that comes in. So if you think you're playing for this big old run up here, you're wrong. We play for these little ones. The little ones make the money. The big ones will lose all the money.
Yep.
Sure, if you bought the shares here and you bought 1,000 shares, you know how much money you need to buy 1,000 shares here? Just do the math. Most of you guys will not buy 1,000 shares of Tesla at $850. So now, if I really want to see, hey, where is this level coming from? What's this? Well, then sure, then just go on a daily, right? Go on the daily levels here, and you can play this low up run here. And then you can see where's the volume. And look what's happening here. Where's the accumulation now? And what is this demand telling you now? Cuban, what is this demand telling you to the previous supply?
Oh,
Anyone. I mean, I'm asking Cuban, but I can pick on anyone. I want you guys to engage and learn, because otherwise you're not learning. You're just
strong.
this demand is going to be fairly strong. And how many times, from August or in August did we come to this demand?
4 times since we created it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here a lot. And every time we come here, we get a reaction. You came here, the buyer said, nope. You came here and you created a supply here. This was a pretty good supply here. Right?
Yeah.
So if I grab from here, for instance, from here to here, look where the supply is. And this demand, last time, we took this supply. Obviously, we didn't take the one supply above it, which is right here. But I would expect that we're going to get a bounce here at 850, 860 range on Tesla. So if we lose 880, which also happens to be what? You guys like these patterns?
Bear
What is
flag.
it? Well, it's a clear bear flag.
Yep.
How
You
many
break
times-
this,
How many times though until it's just not effective anymore?
so we need to break below it. You need the supply to overcome the demand. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. I don't know how strong this is, but once this is broken, next time you come to it from the bottom, and you come here, this is an easy short. This becomes super easy short. So look what happens once you lose this. This is probably what would happen to this stock. See this? Come back here, and this is where the supply would shift. And then you probably go to this one right here, which would be 770 somewhere.
No, because there's not much going on beyond that point.
And now,
Can you explain what, I guess, behind the scenes turns a demand into a supply?
what do you mean?
Like
What
if
exactly?
if you break down below and you come back up for a retest, what makes that now supply?
Okay, yeah. So think about it
Like
in terms
fundamentally,
of,
is it
yeah,
people? Is it
fundamentally. Yeah. So look here. So here, we'll just use the 65-minute chart. There was sellers here that said, hey, I want to get rid of these shares because I accumulated these shares at same level. Let's say this was the level for shits and giggles. And I want to sell these right here. And this guy sold off, obviously. He's like, hey, man, I bought a ton of shares here at 700, and you can change this model or concept to anything. I bought a bunch of shoes here. And once we hit this price, I'm going to sell all these shoes that I have. But then there's a new buyer. It's like, oh, man, look, Michael made a lot of money on these shoes that he bought, but he bought them cheaper. And now there's a lot of demand for it still, but there's not enough shoes. So I'm going to start buying these shoes from China, and I'm going to start selling them also. Well, this guy now found a new supplier, and he's like, hey, man, I'm just going to start buying them here at 770. So he starts buying them, and, this previous seller, let's say he had a little bit of shoes left, and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sell a little bit of shoes that I have left, and I'm going to forget about these shoes that I'm selling. So he sold off his shoes, but this guy bought so much more, that there was a lot more demand for his shoes that he kept selling higher and higher and higher. Okay? So now this guy's like, okay, well, I bought these at 760, all these shoes. I'm going to start selling mine at 936, and I'm not going to worry about it. Well, Michael did it. Now John did it. Now, David comes and is like, man, I saw these two guys do it. And, this company has a lot of profit, a lot of potential, and the shoes look great. Well, he's like, I'm going to start buying these shoes at 842, and I'm going to start selling them the same way they did until there's no more buyers. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to come here and buy them, and I'm going to start selling them at 855. But his range for profits is getting smaller. Was what happens to a product if everybody has it?
Demand
Does
drops.
does it gain value or loses value?
Loses value. Ain't nobody buy.
Yep, you loses value. So if you guys recall, when iPhones came out, like I don't even know, was it 2010 or somewhere around
Yeah,
there?
somewhere around there.
How hard was it to get an iPhone? It
Yeah,
was
expensive.
it was impossible to get an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I remember
Find
people,
them on eBay.
yeah, people are going finding where the sellers were. Sellers didn't have to find the buyers. Buyers had to find the sellers. So I want you to think about that, Dumpster. The sellers did not have to find buyers. Buyers were looking for sellers. It's deeper than what it sounds.
Yeah, how does this pertain within the market though? In my mind, the
It's called
liquidity.
auction, price exploration. They're exploring the prices to see where they can find buyers versus sellers. It's just an auction theory. If I can go here and I'm like, okay, hey, go on 938, I'm selling 10,000 shares at 938. Any buyers? And this guy's like, oh, okay, I'll buy 940. Okay, thanks. This guy bought it at 940, and then they're like, okay, I'm going 945, 10,000 shares, and nobody wants it. Well, this guy, the seller on the auction on the stock is going to say, okay, well, nobody wants it at 945, and I still have a lot of shares here to sell. What do you think he has to do?
But
He drops the price. Like, hey, man, okay, what about 930 if you guys want to buy it? Okay, I'll buy it at 930. And then they go up, the bid, the ask. The ask is like, okay, what about 935? Oh, no, we don't want it. Okay, well, we're going to drop it to 914, anyone. And then the bid and the size and the lots that they're selling plays a role, right? That's why we say, the big orders, the iceberg orders are made up of tiny little orders, and you don't know their intentions. We don't know who has what. If we did, Dumpster, me and you would not be sitting here because we'd be billionaires. We would know how many shares they're willing to sell and how much they have in their possession, the intention of it. Same thing happened on SPY, on all of these, right? The 330 level hit, and previously there was a huge seller on it. And right now, there's, I don't know if this seller at 9:30 is this big box or if it's this big and we just experienced two of these orders hit at 3:30. If it is, well then, fasten your seatbelt because there's a lot more supply at that level. Meaning maybe he has another 10 of these blocks to sell at that 3:30 level. And every time they come close to it, they're going to sell. But if there's no buyers to drive it to 3:30 and you have this many blocks to sell, what are you going to do as a seller? You're going to accept the price at any level you can get if you're anticipating, the market to go down or whatnot, right? So instead of you waiting for 3:30 and the news, right? I mean, and I hate to be, conspiracy theories or not, but they can drive publications, they can drive the media, right? Hitler said in one of his books, if you own media, you own the money.
Yeah.
And it's fairly simple. I mean, I hate to say it, but if I can manipulate your brain and say, yeah, man, inflation is over, like inflation went down, but I'm sorry, inflation went down because of gas. And how did you do that, Mr. Biden? Oh, you emptied out our reserves. So let's just think logically. In case of something happens, the United States does not have any reserves, but inflation is down. What are you going to do if we need more gas? This is a good example to understand. If, let's say, the OPEC, the Saudi Arabia, and those guys, they say we're not going to increase the supply, U.S. does not have any reserves, what happens to the price of gas?
Gonna go boom.
It goes boom, boom, boom. It doesn't just go boom, it goes through the fucking roof. Because we will not have anywhere to supply more, because it's just supply and demand. Now we are supplying from the reserves. When the reserves is empty, you have to buy it at the higher price. And what do you think? Saudi Arabia is going to say no to money? You think they're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, Americans, we love you. We will give you the gas for free.
Well, no.
Well, look at Oxy on Friday.
Well, guys, I told you Oxy from July 5th. The Oxy is going to go parabolic.
Warren Buffett.
Here, let's look at Oxy, right? Let's just look at Oxy on 3 days. Same concept here. Negative contracts happened right here, guys. In this area, this is when crude contracts, literally, if I had the place to store, they would have paid you $3,200 to take 1 barrel of oil here. They would have paid you to store oil. And how do you know that? Just look up some tankers, like prices of tanker stocks. They exploded because the rich people were taking that oil and storing it. So they got it. They got oil. Literally, they got paid to store the oil. And what do you think they did right now? It's literally the concept of inventory, guys. I mean, just look up oil tanker map. If you go back in time, and I don't know how to use this map, obviously. If you guys look at this on, let me see, how do you find oil? This map was covered. Let me see. Oh, maybe I don't know. Guys, this map was literally covered around the United States in 2020. Because the rich boys probably anticipated something. Hey, we're going to get this gas literally negative. You're going to pay us to pick it up. And then, usually what I say, if you need a shortage of gas, what do you need to make in the market, in the world?
War.
You need to engage in the war. I mean, I'm not being conspiracy theorist. I'm just telling you how it works. You need a war. And who do you pick a war with? Who produces the most oil?
Yep, Saudi Arabia.
Well, you have Russia, who produces so much oil for all of Europe. It literally supplies the whole continent of Europe with gas and natural gas. Okay, so now the price of megawatt in Germany is, I don't even know how much. I think it's over 500 euros.
Jeez.
And how do you think, just think logically, how do you think Russia got to this point? It's because they played the game. They played the chess game perfectly. Sure, you want to kill the gas right here and lose, or you're going to lose a lot of revenue. But don't worry, we'll come back. If you buy something in negative and it goes to the positive, remember, if it was negative 32 contracts, you got paid to store it. Well, all of that becomes really big surplus now. And you're funding the war through oil and natural gas. And same concept here. They accumulated the warehouse. We ran higher. Well, let's just think. Last time when we came to this area, we had a supply right here. And look what's happening right here. Where are we going right now?
Yep.
And you have a couple of supplies, right? I mean, oil goes forever. So here you have a supply right here at 88 level. And think about it. If Warren Buffett's buying here, not everybody loves Warren Buffett. And it's not about loving Warren Buffett, but if somebody else also bought shares here at $18 and Warren Buffett's been buying at 60 and Warren Buffett drives this price to 85, what do you think this guy's going to be doing? Right here.
Throwing a party, selling his shares.
Throwing a party, selling the shares. So it might take a hit here, but if Warren Buffett has the right to buy 50% more, and if the war is going to continue and whatnot, maybe he can drive the price up. But there's a lot of politics about this with Warren Buffett now, in my opinion. There's lobbying, there's midterms, there's the Green Deal. There's so many variables, right? That if you miss buying at a 50s, it's not worth buying right now for me at 70 or 80s. And that's where the patience comes, right? Because this guy, Warren Buffett, I mean, he's gonna, if he owns 50% of the company, of course, a lot of people are asking, he's gonna take it private. I'm sorry, but why would you take something private when you're getting dividends? If the company's paying your balance sheet and raising your balance, why would you take it private? Like, it would be the dumbest thing he could do is take it private and carry all the risk to himself. He's smarter than that, but that's all I'm going to say. And from here to here, let's see. Where is the heavy supply? Oh, what do you know?
Yep.
It's right here, guys.
And
look where they accumulated. Just pay attention where I actually was a buyer here too, and I can show you my records. I was a buyer here, but I just made 100% and I sold it. This is where they accumulated the stock at $10. So that's a simple concept of supply and demand. So now, if this demand cannot overcome this supply, it becomes a problem. There's a lot more sellers in this area than there's buyers right here. So, I mean, just grab it from here to here. And look, okay, well, let this price come to this level and see how it reacts. 77.45. And then you'll see, hey, there's bigger houses than Warren Buffett when you combine them, right? It's not only one guy buying and selling Oxy, there's multiple. So that's where the complexities happen. Okay? Does everybody understand the demand, the overcoming supply overcoming demand? In uptrend, you buy on demand zones. On a downsell, you sell the supplies. Make sense? Okay.
yes.
And I know some of you guys might have indicators, a ton of moving averages and what. And I don't mind you guys. I don't care, right? If you're profitable and it works, sure. But there's nothing else that moves the price between the price and the volume. Like, there's literally nothing else that does it. Okay. All right. So what other questions I can help or educate you on something that you guys are maybe not familiar with, or because we can probably look at the watch list and kind of start it.
Can I ask one more question on Oxy?
Yeah.
Where would you grab the volume profile to see where it might bounce from if it rejects at that supply?
So it depends, right? I'm on the weekly candles now. I'll probably look at the daily right here. And me personally, whenever you have a consolidation like this one that you're having right now, so this is, I would say this is a perfect range so far, right? So you have a range from here to here, which is, 43% range, which is fairly big. So what I do, I'll grab this range here and I'll play this POC right here. Because if you look at it, what happens every time it came to this POC?
Injected.
Every time you came close to this POC, you exploded. Another trick you can play here, if this is the range here, let me just change the color. If this is the range here, what's the best way to get in and get out? Does anyone know? This is where you think about responsive buyers and sellers.
You can buy at the top or
Who's
take
buying? Who's selling here?
responsive sellers, and you can
Responsive sellers.
take puts there.
Exactly. So now you can expect sellers to come here, but how do you know if you're going to short here where to get out? You could definitely use volume profile, but the rule that I've been following or kind of learned it is in this range, your 50% becomes the target every time you're shorting. You going long, go off of the 50%. You going short, go off of the, but that's only if you're playing the bottom to the top ranges. So now if I'm going to short this, it probably would go all the way here at 61.8 and call it a profit, right? So that'll be $10 profit here. If it goes to the bottom of the range here, let's say you're buying at 51, then you get another $10.50 right here, which is also the value area high. So this, you short here. If it dips below, you buy here and get out here. And you just play ping pong in between. That's the two ways you can play it. Use the volume profile, or you could use the fibs and find the 50% and play the 50% in between. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Shorty.
Yep. And this happens, guys, on literally every single time frame. Everything I'm telling you happens on every single time frame. I'm on 10 minutes. I'll just give you the session break so you guys can see it. And here's your range. You guys see the range? I would say this is the range I'm looking at right here. Every time you came to this range, look, dropped, and then it started making higher lows. And if you start making higher lows, not equal lows, you know what to do. You're connecting these guys. And here, you got one touch. Here, you got a little bit of dance around. You got a rejection. So it's telling you, it's pretty good trend line. You get a bounce. And then, but remember, this is 10 minutes. And watch now. So this is a kind of like a symmetrical triangle, right? You have lower highs and higher lows inside of a range. And look what happened once we broke this range. Whether it's news or, remember, I'm telling you, the PR and stuff behind, you don't think Warren Buffett can fabricate news, then you need to go and wake up.
He saw it break out, and then they put out the PR.
And remember what Wyckoff theory tells you, is that you're going to accumulate in this zone, right? And then you're going to have a test. You're going to test to see if there's buyers here. Knowledge seeker, is that what it says in the Wyckoff 2.0? Knowledge seeker asleep. And even if you look up in a cooling book, right? I mean, we have a PDF here. It talks about this. They accumulate, and all of a sudden there's some good news coming out, and then they run it. And now it might something come out with the bad news, drive it back down. And what do you think Warren Buffett is going to do? If he bought it, at 66 before, and now you're bringing it back at 66.
He's going to defend that price and take advantage of the fact that he can buy 50% of the shares now.
Exactly. So you expect this now to come back down. And remember, that 77.45 level will be a nice resistance just based on what we saw earlier. Right, we had a supply here. Remember, we had a nice supply here level. Where was it? Somewhere around 70, maybe call it here, 78.32 here. To match the volume profile. So if there was a supply, maybe we run up to here and then you get a little sell-off. He will be there again. The guy doesn't buy a little bit of shares. He buys a shitload of shares. So now just timing is really crucial on this stock. And then remember we talked about CL, not crypto. Okay, oh, here's this. I guess I gave you this example too here. Look what happened here. Is this identical from the PowerPoint? Bottom,
Yep.
dance. This point right here is the same point as right here, is it not? Sorry, what does that mean to be that? Is this point the same or?
Yeah, it's the same.
And then this point right here, is this the same point? It's telling me to go along here. That's why I said the 85.41 will be crucial for crude. And then what do you get? You get all of a sudden somehow Warren Buffett buying Oxy. And what can you expect this week, next week, within a month to pick up about oil? Shortages, wars, China, Saudi Arabia not increase. All of those things are possible now in the news to be occurring just randomly, right? And just pay attention to UNG. Just there you go. We missed it, but yeah, just pay attention to this. And same thing happened here. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to tell you much. Yeah. Here's your previous low that was crucial here, where we went into the downtrend. We accumulated here. So if you grab from here to here, you accumulated here, and where did you come back? Well, right to the value area high. You come back and you rock it again. And now, if this demand can take out this supply, which is a heavy supply, you guys see it? There's a heavy supply right here. If it can take out this 36, oh man. Anytime they dip it again to any of these levels, like this little shelf here, this little shelf here on the buying, it becomes golden. So it's simple. It's very simple. And I made it even more simpler by adding you guys the volume profile idea on how it works. From here to here, if we know that they are buying, if this is the uptrend, and you're able to see, right, which supply it took out, which demand it took out, and which one didn't, then you know the levels that you can play and where you can expect a bounce. If it ever comes back to here, it would be selfish not to buy at this level here, right? It'd be fairly stupid not. And every one of these levels, you're still in an uptrend. You have a level here, and you have a level here. So hopefully this is starting to click. It's not going to click all of it at once, but think of it as supply and demand as I've tried to explain. Hopefully, Dumpster, that made sense, fundamentally what happens. And we see that concept apply everywhere. Funny enough, my father-in-law, he has a hobby of fixing lawnmowers and like any tool for the backyard. He's really good at like engines and all that. So when I talk to him, when do you think he wants to sell these items? I talk to him and I'm like, hey, why are you not fixing and selling now? He's like, I don't want to waste my time. Why do you guys think that is?
Waiting for the price to go up.
He's not buying lawnmowers. He's buying blowers right now.
Yeah.
Why is he buying blowers
They're
now?
not selling right now. Because the mowers are not selling right now.
Yeah, but think about it. A guy comes here. He's not very educated, but he can fix literally anything in your house. He figured out that just the seasons and supply and demand. The
Okay.
fall's coming. What are people going to need?
Yeah. Yeah. The
They're,
blowers. Yeah.
they're going to need more blowers than they're going to need for cutting grass. The grass doesn't grow in the fall. It
Right.
grows. So now I was like, okay, well, this guy's got the concept, and he just does it. He might not understand it educationally, academically, but he knows how to do it. He's like, yeah, I'm buying every blower and I'm just fixing it, reselling. Because he knows the leaf's coming and demand's going to be high and he's going to be able to sell it. And it's the same concept with the stocks, right? When the vaccines and this happened, what stocks were they buying? Just look, March 20th, what happened here on, for instance,
Yeah. Pfizer and Moderna.
here, let's look at this. I mean, obviously they're buying here, but look at the consolidation period here on J&J, post the dump. It's much larger than, S&P or any of it. And every time we came back to this level, look what happened. Every single time. I mean, this is crazy. Look.
Yeah.
Every time you came to this level, you bounced. Because the accumulation here is pretty powerful. And they pay great dividends too. So it makes sense, right? And Myrna is just a smaller company, right? It's more volatile than J&J. J&J is old company. But you see here now, again, not saying anything, but maybe there's something going to happen, sooner than later. Because this, pandemic opened the doors for future pandemics, future vaccinations, and companies to profit off of it. I mean, you went $500. You're at 146 right now. I mean, are you still making COVID vaccines, or what happened? Nothing really changed. It's just the demand and supply. How much more people do we have to vaccinate? How many rounds of vaccinations do we have? And every time there was another dosage increase or recommendation, the stock pumped. Why? What does it mean in demand and supply? Fundamentally, if there's another recommendation by CDC for a fifth one, or they approve, how they approve different ages at different times, they stage the sales, right? They are staging the sales of their product. 19 to 25 are approved, 5 to 10 are approved. Now they're going to say newborn to 2 are approved, and then the stock goes up. And then if they lobby hard enough, they could make it where it's truly mandatory for you to, no exemptions, where you have to get the vax. And what will happen to this stock? Through the roof.
I rock it up. Yep, they're able to manipulate their product.
Exactly. Manipulate the product and lobby the government. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, we'll kind of look into the ES and see what we got here. I'm going to use my yellow background. And so in terms of ES, right, we had all these key levels, right, that we kind of broke through. So we had the 4280. This level became really important here in terms of price action, right? So if you guys look at it, that 4260 level was crucial. And we know that because if we grab the sell-off from here, you guys will see, where was it? It was 19th, the Friday. I was going to grab it right below. All right, come on, where is it? Okay. Close enough. So here is where we had the cluster from, right? So we knew where the sell-off happened, and we knew the value highs. This is where we grabbed our first short, I believe, on Friday. I mentioned this level, 4268, and it also happened to be the August value area high or value area low. I forgot which one it was, but we can find out, which lined up perfecly. It had FSD down. and this literally ran. And then what do I tell you guys about the levels, right? So this was our level right here for the retest, right? So this here, remember candle indecision, candle. If this is our retest area, when you come to this level, you broke it, you retested it once, you could have taken this short, and then you came back again. Remember, we're in a downtrend. You came back and you hit it again. So this was a really double time that you could get in and kind of short it from here. And if you think about it, lower highs, and lower lows, lower high, lower low. This was the lower low right here. And look what happened here. You came back to test that lower low and you literally got dumped into it, right? So now, the lower low is here. So the 42.20 is crucial if they're going to break that, right? Sorry. If they break 42.20, could you take this short 4,200? Probably, yeah. The contracts will be inflated. And we know that there's buyers at this level, at the 42.20. So if you go on like 6 hours or something like that, I have too many volume profiles, might confuse you. So if you just grab, a volume profile from, let's say, this most recent run up, you could do that here. And then you just look at the shelves right here, right? So there's a shelf right here, which is your demand zone at this level right here. You can expect a bounce here. It does. If it breaks this, then we go at 30 points less. Once we lose this 41.70 level, we're going to be coming up on a pretty important level here, which is where most of the volume happened for this spike right here, which is at 41.22. So this would be a really good area to scalp some calls here once we approach this level right here. Okay, do you guys understand this? Okay, I guess it's not going to work, but so that's what we were after in terms of this. And if you look at the trend line, if you grab this trend line from here to here, we are right below it. So usually stocks tend to do this they like to come back and retest the trend line. So if they come back, they kind of did it here, but not truly. So if we pump here, if we drop to the 4,200, they could run this all the way to 4,270. And this POC, if you look at the sell-off now, since we have all of the data, let's say we grab it all the way to here, you're looking at the retest of the supply, which kind of come up to here. So it would be good if we can, get it here tomorrow and switch to calls real quick at 4,200. You could probably scalp it, a couple of points and be done with the day tomorrow, like really quickly. And here, on 30 minutes, you guys have a nice little trend line that you can play on the top side. So once we come here and you get it, you're probably going to get a bounce, and that's where you want to be buying. And if you only focus on this and buy tomorrow, you're going to be done within maybe 10 minutes. You'll be done trading. And that's what you want. You want to buy the time back, not spend more time. So here's, SPY. We don't have any levels. I'll just kind of do what we just talked about, right? So where's the demand that we talked about? Well, there's a demand right here at 420, if you guys look, which happens to be this one that we talked about earlier. And it took out the previous demand, and 420 and 4,200 on SPY on ES would line up nicely, and we probably get a nice little pump here. If we break here, do you guys remember this? There was a little gap up here based on the news of Feds. And this here might happen quick, right? So a lot of people are going to be watching this level right here, which is 416.72, because it really starts a gap and price will just fly down here. So if I was to grab this, from here to here, you'll see there's no volume. Because they knew that there was a major resistance at 420. So what's the best way to skip over resistance or kind of gap up over it? And here we're coming back. So, and you see again, this level that we talked about earlier is coming up on the one. So this is where we kind of want to be watching for calls tomorrow to switch quickly. If you're going to be shorting, be quick. because I think you'll get a bounce here. And then if we gap down, wait for retest, and go down on SPY. So that would be the key levels to watch. I personally would not short it right at open. I would only short it below 420 to about 416, and then I would play this trend line here.
So how you play that 420 level might depend a lot on whether or not we open above it or below it.
Yeah. So if we open, let's say we're above it, and then they start selling off, and then you see here, it's going to be quick. This is going to happen. It could be like the morning thing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at this level here, it's also a skinny belly in this area. You see it? So what they might do is in the morning, this is typically what they do. They might go up to here. They might dump this to like here, come back here, and then literally, they could flush this to 419, and then we get a bounce, and we take it from the bottom here, and you would trim some at this level, and then, the levels that we identified here, you would trim more. If we open below it, as we talked about earlier, if you open, let's say, we open here, and you come back here, this is a good shorting opportunity, then you short it all the way to 426, 416.72. And then, obviously, if we break this, then it's kind of like this. This is what it will look like. It'll just open up really quickly down to the downside. I would expect that we have a little dump up and then dump. But I don't know. I'm just giving you levels and scenarios that I'm going to be playing, because this is, just look. I'm just going to grab this, what we talked about. What is this right now? I'm on, 5 minutes, and this right here is a nice little supply that they created on 5 minutes. So it could be that we come up to here, dump. Then if we break this level, it might go open to the next one. We do have a gap, above this level. So that's how I plan on taking SPY. And then longer picture. Let me just hide this. And if you look at it from, to figure out the major levels, and you're just going to grab from here to here. And you see now, once you lose that level that we just talked about, the 416 here, they're going to defend this. Or this level right here, what is this? Like 415, I would say 415. They're going to defend this pretty heavy here. Keep wanting to grab these on the top. So that level 415, this right here, will be defended. And you could probably draw a little box and grab the previous one as well. Something like this. They're going to defend this level. Sure, it might dump here, but this is, if we dump majorly, gap down, they'll defend the 415 level. And then once we lose this level right here, which is like 410, man, the gates really open up for the downside. This is
skinny belly.
Like, the bloodbath starts here. So, we have multiple swings, right? If you see that we get a bounce here and we don't take out the previous supply, let's say we reject, we dump 415, we get a bounce and we don't take this supply out, this is probably a good entry for some longer dated puts, as, we unfortunately have not revisited this level here when we popped. And this would be, it's a big drop, right? So if you're thinking about from here to here, we have 12% to come back down.
Whoa.
So there's our intraday levels, and we can anticipate, if we go to 410, 415, bounce back to 420, this would be a really good short to go and hit on SPY. And I'm pretty much going to watch ES, SPX, SPY for trading. Amazon, I think if you guys, here's what we said about Amazon, what it was going to do. And here's kind of what it did, right? We said, I think it was 141. This 141.75 was an easy short here, aggressive short. And we had 139 level. That was key. What did we do to it? Same thing. You came back for a retest, and then you dumped to the next level here. So now if there's any form of bulls showing up on Monday, they probably might run it all the way to 139, this level right here. And this would be a good short to get back in. And then you see, how we anticipate this to happen, at least. on Amazon. So here you can go long, or you just wait here patiently and wait for the short. Amazon, these are moving nicely already. The next one is Apple. Let me remove this. I don't know how to remove this red thing. I'll go on higher time frames. So let's see. Let me just remove all of this. So Apple had a huge run here. I mean, like this is crazy. So if you think about this, this is a monster run on Apple. And now you had a little bit of reversal candles here, kind of telling you, hey, we might come back down here. And I would expect, the 170 level to be crucial on it. So somewhere around here, I would expect 161, and we can find that out as well. So if you just take this most recent run that we had from here to here, you can find where the next volume shelf will be. And what do you notice about this? Yeah, there's really not much till we kind of come back to this level here. So once we break, let's say if you break 167.80, you can get $3 here. If you're purely playing off the value area highs and lows, well, let it break this level right here, which is 170.97. There's probably a high chance if you can get like 15 minutes inside the three candles to close, that there you're going to go to the bottom of this, which would be 163, which would be about $7 on Apple. So I'd watch this in 170, 171 level for the break.
You bought time on Apple, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm in December. So I was down actually on these quite a bit, but I didn't anticipate them to push this higher. So that's Apple here. I mean, you had a nice run, even if you look at this. I'm just gonna make this. It's a really tight channel, man. That's crazy. So you had a nice channel down, you had a nice channel up, and if you think about this supply, what we just talked about, where do we come? You guys have to start believing in this stuff, because if you don't believe in it, then you can't trade it. So, we are still at the POC of this whole rundown. So the major seller is still here. And I don't see why wouldn't he be. Nothing changed from a month or 2 months ago from here to here. So he's still just enjoying this, and he's going to be selling. So the 156 level probably looks juicy here. I will hold those 170s till it reaches here. I don't care how long it takes. Okay, so this was a really good entry on these shorts here. And they could probably bounce it here a little bit and reject that 172.57, which is okay as well. And you could grab the whole thing and see how the volume looks. And look at this now. I would think that
POC on the run up's about 165.
Oh yeah. So you definitely do that. Yep, and it's right here where that shelf is. So it kind of lines up, and then you can expect the buyers to be here, 165, and then the whole thing, the value area low here is right here at 152. So these are the key levels you should know: 172, 165, 152. If we lose this level, come back for a retest, I promise you catch it here. You can probably peel some off right here, but that's $8, guys. That's pretty good on Apple. Google was the prime, what I was showing you guys. Remember when I said Google short level? It's a perfect range. Come on, it's clear. There were sellers here, and then if you think about it, the range really got tight around this level here, 120. You had a rejection here, rejection here. You went over it, trapped some people, and now, somebody asked earlier, I don't know who it was somebody asked, how do you know where to go to? Well, if the history repeats itself and the buyers are still buyers, and if you got in short in this level, let's say this level here, well, then you know where you need to get out. And look where 50% is, at 112. So we have another $6, and then we switch to calls on Google. And if it breaks 115, you could definitely short it if you're not short already on Google. Then you can catch it all the way to 112, and I'll be looking to kind of switch back. And if we break below 111, then you get the 100 and 105 level that's crucial for it. Tesla, I think we talked about Tesla, right? Yeah, you guys are aware. Do you guys know what to do on Tesla, I guess?
Shorty, I don't know if you saw, but Musk just tweeted that, I put it in chat, but Musk just tweeted that they're going to raise the price of full self-driving to $15K now.
I thought he said that supply is getting better for Tesla and that inflation peaked, that he's going to lower the prices. I must have misread. Didn't he say that not too long ago? He did. I'm pretty sure he did. But that's, again, the power of following and crowd and manipulation, right? They're just very good at it. So let's see what we get. And then Tesla, if you just do the same thing I did. There you go. Let's head it back to 700, and you can probably wait a little bit here. If you're patient enough, you can get this and buy it, and that's what pros will do. They'll buy it back here. Once 842 breaks right here, this level right here, once this level is broken, it's really becoming bearish, and it's going to dump here probably quickly. And you would have the value area high, which is somewhere around, what is that? 772. So you have 70 points on this guy right here. I'm trying to grab this freaking thing. And then let's see where the buyers are. So yeah, we could probably drag this along. Let's see how far they go. What else you guys want to see? I think NVIDIA is actually pretty good. We talked about NVIDIA here. Just one second, let me get a sip of water. Okay, let's look at NVIDIA. What do you guys see here on the video? Anyone see? Let me just remove it. What do you guys see here? Anything from patterns perspective? Anyone? You guys there?
Is it a bear flag?
It's a bear flag. Anyone see anything else?
Maybe a head and shoulders?
How about this? Would this work? You're in a downtrend, which is a checklist item for inverse head and shoulders. We're definitely in a downtrend. You know, we've been crying since, what is this, 350? So here, you're in a downtrend now. It could be that once we break that 193-ish level, I think it'll be somewhere around here. You see the resistance, resistance, resistance. Once you break this along with this level here, then you're going to flip and create the shoulder right here. So this here is the making of your right shoulder. But the 160 level is going to be crucial for this stock. I think will be somewhere around here. And you see here rejection, popped over it, acted as resistance. So now, if you're able to break that, losing that trend line sends it to 160. And you can confirm this. Let's grab all right here. So we're right close to losing that right now. And if you look at the POC right now here, so if you're able to lose that, then you see that there's a high chance you come back all the way here, which is your value area low, 164, and then skinny belly right here to the support, previous support. So I'd watch this one as well. This has a pretty decent setup. I'm just going to move these lines so I can see it. All right. What else you guys got in terms of stocks? Interest. I'm just going to look at Caterpillar. I'm trying to get shares on this. So this looks like a good short here almost. If this breaks right here, this is, but they've been buying it here. So let's see which way they want to go. For shares. So they haven't been able to break this. So once we break this level here, it's probably a high chance we go to a 200, 202. But I'm watching this, see if they pump it up here, then I'll short it here. This would be a good short level, but I don't know, this buying here has been fairly weak. Yeah, all the way to 179. If we break this, it's going to literally dump. I'd watch this break below here. Break below 193, it has a chance to really, really fly down to 180. So I'd watch this right here. Okay, let's see what else you guys have. How's PayPal been doing? Ooh, it's probably coming back to 85 square. Ooh, yeah, you can expect PayPal to do the same. Oh. So from 93 all the way to 74. Oh no. Yeah, you can catch TTD here. Then, if you didn't get short, too late now, but this has room to fall now. It has a lot of room to fall. We broke this POC. So tomorrow, if we get a low pump, I'd watch for this rejection right here. This is how I would play it tomorrow. Probably like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, let it come up right here. Let it push up. This is actually a pretty good setup, DM. Let it push up. Maybe you can even push up to the high of this right here. 67.34, 67.94. And I wouldn't play weeklies, but I'd play something further out. And I'd probably put my stop loss somewhere. Depends what your risk averse level is. You could put it somewhere around 71 or 70.50 right here for your stop loss if you get in here. But your target would be pretty good here. I mean, this is a pretty good trade. Yeah, I'll definitely watch this one tomorrow. If you can remind me on this one. I don't usually play it, but Yeah, we'll watch this one. All right, guys. What other questions you guys got? Anyone? Any other tickers? All right, the quiet bunch on a Sunday morning. All right, cool, guys. I'm gonna go take my kiddo at the park. Hopefully, you guys have a good day. Enjoy it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Have a good one, Shorty.
All right, bye, guys.
Thank you.